Welcome, everyone. We're going to continue to have people join with us to chit chat for this evening. We're a very informal bunch, and this night is all about you and your questions. So we are going to all introduce ourselves, share a little bit about what we do here at CWD, as well as our connection to diabetes, and then we're going to make some general announcements, and then we're going to turn it over to you. So if you have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and have you just start posting them in the chat, and then I'm going to ask them to the team here. If you have a question that you don't want to ask in front of everyone, you can email conference at Children with Diabetes, or you can ask anonymously in the Q&A box. We will also be dropping links into the chat throughout the presentation or throughout the discussion tonight. So if we're like, hey, this is where you can buy a link, book your bus ticket. Here's the link. Just keep an eye on the chat because that's where our friend Sasha, who is not actually a smiley face, will be sharing those things. So, okay, now welcome. I think everybody's in. My name is Matt Point. I am the Director of Advancement and Programs at Children with Diabetes. I oversee all of CWE sponsorships as well as our overall events portfolio, which includes Friends for Life. So I oversee Friends for Life from the high level. My first conference was in 2013, and I'm actually married to a person. I don't have diabetes. I'm actually married to a person with type 1. So my husband Brian has type 1. So I wear an orange band at Friends for Life. So if this is your first time attending a conference, we wear 3 types of wristbands. And sorry, you can hear my dog downstairs, so I'm going to go lock him up after I stop talking. If you have diabetes, you're going to wear a green wristband. If you love somebody with diabetes, you're going to wear an orange wristband. And if you eat gluten-free, you're also going to get a yellow wristband in addition to your green and orange band. So I think that's it for me. I'm going to turn it over to Lee next.
Hey everybody, we're so glad you're here with us tonight. I also was having some dog situation happening in my background. I am Lee Fickling. I am the Chief Operating Officer here at Children with Diabetes. I am wearing an orange polo tonight by the fabulous Lands End business professionals. We are so happy that you're going to be joining us in just a couple of weeks in Orlando. My connection to diabetes is that I have now 14-year-old teen twins, Ava and Davis. Ava was diagnosed with diabetes when she was 3, and Davis also has autism. So he is part of the Type Awesome group that we have at Friends for Life Orlando and all of our regional conferences as well. My first time attending Friends for Life was around the same time that Matt attended. We normally count our t-shirts and look back at our t-shirts to be able to see how many we've attended and sort of what they look like. And another fun fact, the first time that I met Ashlyn, who you will meet here in just a few minutes, was when I was at a Friends for Life at the Marriott World Center, and my daughter's Dexcom started to fall off at the pool. That was our second year attending. We were very nervous about trying to be able to save that Dexcom. I posted a message on our Facebook page and said, can anyone help me? This person named Ashlyn Mills responded and said, I have something that can help you. I'll meet you at this restaurant. And so that was the very first time that I met Ashlyn, and here we are working together today. So happy that you're here with us tonight. Looking forward to answering some of your questions. And at this point, I will turn it over to Marissa.
Hello, everyone. I am also very excited. I can't believe how soon Friends for Life is. We're so excited to see you in sunny, warm Orlando. Understatement of the year. So my name is Marissa, and I have lived with type 1 for 34 years, and I'm a nurse. I'm a diabetes educator, and at Friends for Life, I've been coming since I was a teen and as attendee, and I volunteered in all the age groups, and now I am overseeing the adult program and all the medical supplies and everything at Friends for Life, as well as other adventures outside of Friends for Life. So with that, I'll give it to Ashlyn.
Hi, everybody. My name's Ashlyn. I am the Events and Programs Manager for Children with Diabetes, and my connection to type 1 is I was diagnosed in 2015. How about that for a second? I oversee with Matt all of the Friends are volunteers, and the room block and tissues go into each room and how many chairs. So all the nitty-gritty details I am behind the scenes working on. And I'll turn it over to Jen.
Thanks, Ashlyn. Hi, everyone. My name is Jen. I also live with diabetes and have had diabetes since I was 3 years old. And I've been coming to Friends for Life conferences since 2009, so for quite some time. And my role with children with diabetes, and specifically the Friends for Life conferences, is to oversee all of the youth programming. So I probably have answers to some of your questions today, specifically if they have anything to do with what your children, if you are coming with children, might be doing at the conference. So that planning starts back in January, and we are now on to just like crossing the T's and dotting the I's to make sure that your kids have an awesome time. So happy to answer any questions that you might have around youth programming.
Awesome. Well, that is the team who is with us here tonight. A little bit more about CWD. So we have 6 regular employees, and we do a lot of events. So fun fact for you, Friends for Life Orlando is the world's largest conference for patients with type 1 diabetes. Children with diabetes is a little bit of a misnomer for us in terms of our events as well, because last year, 57% of the attendees at Friends for Life Orlando were adults. So, if you're an adult coming with diabetes, you are in good company. And if you're like, oh, I was coming for my kid, there's plenty of kids too. There's gonna probably be like 800 children in attendance. It's just we're really excited to be one of the biggest growing things for adults with diabetes to participate in it as well. So just a quick few housekeeping notes. Now's your time. You can go ahead and start dropping your questions in the chat box or in the Q&A box. We will start getting to those here in a second. But you should know we are happy to answer anything that you want to know. So I already talked a little bit about the wristbands. We get a lot of questions about them. We actually have an interesting article about the wristbands on our website that my friend Sasha will eventually drop into the chat for you all to read and peruse after this event tonight. But so you have your wristbands, but then you'll also wear your conference lanyard. Anytime you're in the convention center, you will have to have your wristband on and your conference center lanyard, or you will not be permitted into any meal, program, youth activity, session, party, meetup. So you will always need your wristband and your lanyard anytime you are in the convention center space and participating in a Friends for Life program. Additionally, we've been getting a lot of messages and questions about the recent changes with Disney in terms of their disability access program. So on May 20th, 2024, Disney made a change to their DAS system. So if you've previously gone to Disney World and you've used that to access rides or attractions, they no longer process it in the same way. CWD doesn't have any additional information other than what Disney has provided. I know that many people have commented in the Facebook group about it, but I would ask you just to reach out to Disney directly if you have any questions. CWD doesn't have like a relationships with the parks. All of our programming is through like the hotel side. So we actually don't even use DAS for any of our programming because the teams go to the water park and there is no DASable options there. So we don't really have a need for it in terms of our programming. But if you have any questions, I'd reach out to Disney directly. Universal system is entirely different. We do offer discounted multi-day tickets to Disney through our Room Block website. If you're only buying single-day tickets, they're not discounted. So just buy them through the regular Disney website. And there are discounted Universal tickets on the website as well. That's the article about the newsletter, about the thing. So we're going to go ahead and start answering your questions. And we'll see what happens. All right. Oh, they're popping in already. Is my 13-year-old son able to go to Typhoon Lagoon? One resource says no, but the other says yes. Yes, I'm just going to. So the entire teen program goes to on the water park day. So that would be everybody in age 13, who's age 13 to 17 and registered for the conference. So that's everyone, regardless of whether they have diabetes or not. If they're registered and participating in the teen program, they will go to the water park. They don't have to, so that happens too. Sometimes people are like, I just don't want to go to the park, like I don't like to do that. They're also welcome to stay at the resort and participate in the adult sessions that are appropriate for them that day, but then they are your responsibility. All right. Can you describe what it'll be like when we first arrive at the hotel, feeling nervous but excited about where to go when we arrive? Lee, I'm going to let you take that one on because Lee, she's a professional traveler who carries too many things with her when she goes places.
I feel like that was not nice, but that's not, No, I love that question, and I'm so glad that you asked that. I think that that is just sort of the way that I feel about it too, this many years later. It is so exciting to be able to get there, and I think that especially if you're a first timer and you don't know what to be able to expect, it is going to be absolutely life changing. I will always remember my first time being able to come and starting to be able to see sort of around the hotel once we checked in, like looking at the visible signs of diabetes. When we grew up and when my daughter was growing up with diabetes, she didn't know anybody else with diabetes. So being able to like come on site and, go all the way to Florida, the suitcases were bigger than both of my twins were, which is how I still travel to this day with suitcases that are bigger than I am. But it's so nice to be able to look around and be able to see insulin pumps and be able to see the signs of diabetes. Once we get there and once registration opens, I think one of the best things that you can do, sort of the very first thing, as soon as you have the opportunity, is to go and get that wristband that Matt talked about. So whether that's a green band for somebody that has diabetes, whether that's an orange band for somebody that loves someone with diabetes, that's going to be another way for you to sort of be able to look around look around the environment at Coronado and be able to see who is now part of your Friends for Life family, and go to the pool, walk around, eat at the El Mercado or eat at Rick's and sort of be social while you're there. We know that you have things that you need to take care of in your room to get yourself all set up, order your groceries if that's what you need to do, but sort of take time to sort of be out in the public spaces, because that's where you're going to be able to meet the different people that are there for the conference too.
Thank you. Ashlyn, this one's for you. I received an email from Disney saying my reservation has changed, but not sure what the change was.
I'm muting myself. So Disney sends out the way the system works is a bit strange. When you receive an email that's like a resort confirmation, it'll say your resort reservation has been changed. That's just because Disney went in and prompted a resend of that confirmation. So if you received a scholarship, or if you are a volunteer, or any rooms that I booked, or if you're booked through a sponsor, emails are going to look. And last week I did prompt Disney to resend all those emails. So that's probably why you got that. Just double check the details in that email. And if you see anything funky, either reach out to me if you've been chatting with me, or reach out directly to Disney and they'll be able to help.
Awesome. I'm going to be coming in on July 9th. I can't check in until 3 p.m. If we get there before 3 p.m., can we join in with the Friends for Life and park before we check in the room? Yes. So you can get to the resort anytime you want. And check-in is at 3. That means that they don't guarantee that a room will be ready before 3 p.m., but your room could be as ready as early as 11 a.m. So if you get there at 10, 11 a.m., you can Bell Services will hold on to your luggage, and then you can like go to the pool, you can go to a theme park, you can go to Disney Springs, you can walk around the resort. Coronado Springs, fun fact, is the largest resort at Disney. It has almost 4,000 hotel rooms. There's a lot you can see there, and there's a lot to walk around. There's multiple pools, there's restaurants, you can go up to the roof and check out the view. So there's a lot to do there at the resort. If you just want to hang out that day, meet people. If you go to the pool, the Big Dig pool, it looks like Mayan ruins. You will see lots of diabetes in the water. So definitely check it out. But yeah, Bell Services will hold your stuff. And then when your room's ready, you get a text, and then you just go to your room if you're using your Magic Band or your phone, or you can check in early and they'll give you a little card, and then you get text your room's ready. You go and you can call it, and they'll actually bring your luggage to your room for you, or you can go grab it from Bell Services. All right, wearing a lanyard and wristband. I know my husband and I can comply. Is that true for my two-year-old twins? What do you say, Jen?
Great question. So if your child is in Kitty Cove, so they're 0 to 5 years old, they will at Kitty Cove actually be getting an additional wrist, or in some cases ankle band that has the information that is also on the name tag, because we know that that's really tricky. We do ask that the name tags be brought down to the Kitty Cove room, and for the kids who can handle having them on, they'll keep them on. But for our younger, those are usually the 5-year-olds. For younger than that, the staff and volunteers in that room have a plan. So just bring those so that they've got them for other things and your family has them, but know that they will have an additional wristband. The reason that that additional wristband happens is because then we can scan the QR code on their wrist or their ankle to give us all of your contact information very quickly. That is also one of the functions of the name tags for all of our children that are 0 to 17 years old. Volunteers and staff only have access to that system. So that's just a little bit of extra information of how we're keeping your kids safe, but don't stress too much knowing that they're going to rip them off. I have a 2-year-old too. There's no way.
Yeah, I asked Jen for multiple reasons because she has a 2-year-old who will be in attendance and because she oversees our youth program. Marissa, I believe it was described in the FAQ, but can you talk more about the theme and the dress code for the banquet
Yes, this is
and the conference in general? Can you talk about the conference in general
Oh,
in addition
yes,
to the
of
banquet?
course. So first of all, it is very, very hot outside, but very, very cold inside. So I always recommend bringing a sweater, a little jacket type thing, because you might get cold in the sessions, and I want you to be able to stay and enjoy them and be comfortable. But it's definitely casual. You know, it's Florida. You are welcome to wear whatever you are comfortable in. And this year, the theme, thanks to our amazing creative designer, Sasha, is fossil dinosaur paleontology themed. So the big thing this year is we really want to discourage the blow up T-Rexes. I know they're hilarious. I've seen a lot of funny videos with them, but what we're worried about is everyone in a crowded hallway with a blow up could be a little chaotic. So you are welcome to wear like Jurassic Park t-shirts with fossils, with dinosaurs, things like that. I have definitely gotten some good stuff on Etsy, jewelry wise. But overall, it's comfortable. Sometimes people really enjoy dressing up for the banquet. Some people like to wear dresses. Some people like to wear what they wore that day. Some of us will be in dinosaur themed dresses, etc. And it looks like Lee might add some to this.
I was going to say, hey, Marissa, why is your polo that you're wearing tonight red?
Excellent question. Thank you. So my polo is red because I am a nurse and a diabetes educator. So if you see someone in a red polo, they are a healthcare professional. And so if you have anything that you need, we should be able to help you and or get you to someone that will be able to help you. And then we have the staff, like the 6 of us that are paid by CWD and work there. I think are going to be in multicolored polos. So there were a little bit of a wild card. The youth leaders are typically in gray. I think that's still the case, Jen. Yes.
Yep.
And then there is also a group called the support staff who will be in black. And they are there keeping extra eyes on all of us, especially the kiddos, just making sure everyone is safe. We don't, lose anybody, etc. And I think that should be everyone. If you see a Children with Diabetes logo, it's someone that is representing the organization, and you can go to them and ask questions. Even if it seems like a silly question, please ask us, because we want to make sure you get the most out of Friends for Life that you can.
Awesome. Jen, we're going to change gears here. I'm going to jump around a little bit. For the coffee and lunch breaks that are on our own, do you have any recommendations? I'm going to go back to Lee for this one because I know what she does, and I think a lot of people might like this.
Yes, I have some recommendations for you, because I will tell you that my kids they are the type of people, when we go to Disney and when we go to Orlando, they like a drink that is cold, and they will buy a $5 drink at Coronado. They will take 2 sips out of it, then it will get hot, and then they will need to go and throw it away. So a couple of tips that I can give you as the chief mom officer, been there, done that, is that one thing that you can do is to get Disney gift cards. And so that is something that we have always done. So especially when you're thinking about maybe coming for next year, every time we have a birthday, every time there's a holiday, every time there's Christmas or any other type of celebration, it's great to be able to ask your family and friends for a Disney gift card, because you can bring those with you. You can help that pay down your room balance. You can help, use those whenever you're on on site whenever you're at Disney Springs or at one of the parks. So it's great to be able to have that. And you can combine little Disney gift card balances into one larger one. So that way you can sort of, instead of having, 15 Disney gift cards with you, you can put all of your cash, all of the Disney cash on one card and bring one card with you. So that's one tip that I would give you, is to think about bringing Disney gift cards. There's still time for you to sort of be able to ask people in your life right now to send one with you. The other thing that we do is that we order groceries in advance. I use a company called Garden Grocer, just because that's one that we've used for many years. And for the longest time, they were sort of the preferred vendor for the different Disney hotels. But a lot of people use Amazon, they'll use Instacart. And so we order snacks and things to be able to keep in our room. So instead of going and spending that $5 on that Coke that my kids are going to take 2 drinks of and then get ready to throw away, we will sometimes go back to the room because there's enough time for you to sort of be able to go back, use the bathroom, sort of regroup in between the different sessions if they're not going to the exhibit hall and things like that. So I try to order things like low supplies. Like I'll order chocolate milk boxes or juice boxes. I'll order some carby snacks. I'll order, of course, my favorite drink of them all, the Diet Cokes, to be able to have in the room, and water and things like that. Another thing that I would say is bring your reusable water bottles, because there'll be places for you to be able to refill your water while you're there. Or to be able to, like when we're at lunch or things like that, you can refill it with our lemonade or with our sugar-free fruit punch that we have in your water bottles as well. So I think that you don't necessarily have to rely on going and getting an iced coffee from Cafe Rick's, although now that is what my teenage daughter wants to do at every single break all the time, is iced coffee, and charge that back to our room. So hope that helps answer that.
Thank you, Lee. All right. I'm going to give this one to Jen. Can you give us some more information about the medical training that the staff working with the youth program has?
Yes, for sure. So, in general, so maybe to even take a step back, our age groups are split into 4 different age groups: Kiddie Cove, which is 0 to 5, elementary, which is 6 to 8. Our tweens are 9 to 12, and our teens are 13 to 17. Within Kiddie Cove, they're further broke down into smaller groups. So our babies, our toddlers, and our preschoolers. Each of those age groups has a very specific number of staff and volunteers, depending on the industry standards for ratios for childcare. And then on top of that, each group also has healthcare professionals in the space. So that's like really high level. To drill down a little bit more, almost all of the people that are in the room, whether they are a volunteer, so someone who's going to be working with programming, or an HCP, a healthcare provider, have deep experience with type 1 diabetes. If they are a volunteer, they are either living with diabetes or they have a loved one with diabetes. Many, almost all of our volunteers have grown up through the Children with Diabetes program. Our healthcare providers also have a deep connection with type 1. Nearly all of them are diabetes educators, and so they're working professionally in the diabetes education space. Occasionally, we'll have a nurse who happens to also be a mom to someone with type 1, or has a connection like that. But there are multiple healthcare providers within each space as well. Shortly, so within, I believe, the next 2 weeks, you're going to be getting a letter for each age group that you have a child in. Tomorrow. And in that letter,
The secret y'all get for being here tonight.
Yeah, you just got extra information. So if you're a parent of a child, you're going to get a letter from the leaders of your age group that explains more about the diabetes care that will be happening within your age group. It will also introduce to you the lead healthcare providers. And on top of that, I'll maybe get someone to drop a link, whatever the best link might be, so that you can read the bios of the healthcare providers and of the volunteers that are going to be in your age group as well, because we have an amazing group. We had, I won't even guess at the numbers, but a lot of people apply for volunteer positions, both as program volunteers and HCP volunteers. So we have the very top of the barrel of possible people who could be working with your children.
We turned down 130 applications this year to volunteer.
Yeah.
And it's worth mentioning that all of our volunteers are background screened, as well as the staff, if Jen didn't already say that, and the board of directors. So like anybody that with children with diabetes and is going to be close with your kids has been screened by us. And we do filter people out if they don't pass that screening.
And I'll maybe just leave it with that in the letter that you'll get tomorrow. There's also contact information for the leaders of your age group, and they're happy to help answer any more specific questions or to help just calm any nerves if there's anything that you'd like to get in touch with diabetes wise or otherwise about the program.
Thank you, Jen. So I got one here. Do the hotel rooms have fridges, freezers, microwaves? I'm going to answer this one. Yes, all of the hotel rooms have refrigerators in them. They are beverage coolers. They're not refrigerators. We would advise against storing insulin in a hotel refrigerator because you could come back and it could be frozen, or you could come back and it could be 68 degrees. So they're really think about that fridge as um, a beverage cooler. There are microwaves in like common spaces in the hotel, like out near like the not the Pepper Market, the Pepper Market. There, don't tell Disney I called it that. It's what it used to be called. The Pepper Market. There's some microwaves there and stuff, but there are throughout the resort. But every room has a beverage cooler in it, not a fridge. Don't store insulin in it. I've seen a few posts about picking classes. Is that what we need to do in check-in or before we get there? You don't need to choose anything before you arrive. So what happens is tomorrow, you're going to get the full schedule for Friends for Life Orlando, and you can start perusing and figuring out what you want to do. The only things that require pre-registration are a few sessions on Wednesday, and that's Wednesday is sponsor day. So it's focus groups and product theater. So these are like ran by our sponsors. So like Dexcom and Sanofi and Walgreens and people like that. And they are there because they want information from you. They're like showing you some research or showing you their marketing materials and getting your feedback, or it's a product theater. So like come learn more about Omnipod 5 or come learn more about the Sequel Twist pump, whatever it may be. Some of those require pre-registration because if they're doing a focus group for their own internal research, they might be looking for a specific demographic to participate. But otherwise, everything is open for you to attend as long as it's an appropriate session for you. So for a good example of that would be is on Wednesday, I host a big session. Last year we had almost 50 people for significant others of people with type 1. It's only for orange bands who are married or dating or engaged to a person who's a green band. If you are a green band, you are not welcome in our session because we're going to talk about you. So that's your that would be a good example of that. Also, we wouldn't be appropriate for somebody, without diabetes to go to the adults with type 1 open discussion group. So that would be the only time there would really be a restriction on what it is. One thing we didn't discuss that does come up is that you cannot change age groups. So we will get this question. I know somebody will ask me in the hallway. Our insurance dictates the ages that the youth are in the youth program. So just because your 12-year-old and your 14-year-old are really close, your 12-year-old has to be in the tween program and your 14-year-old has to be in the teen program. CWD's insurance policy says it's that way. So that's how it's going to be. So one thing that just came up, let me see here. It's hard for me to read and talk at the same time, and I do so much of both. Are there any CWD events that require formal wear? Oh, absolutely not, because it's Orlando in July and it's Disney World. Like, I'll be lucky to not wear shorts the whole week. I will wear like a dino onesie. I wore one on the stage last year at the banquet. I also dressed like a baked potato at one point last year. I was wrapped in like cellophane and like aluminum foil for our space theme. I felt like a baked potato. Lee also felt like a baked potato because it was very hot. But there's no reason to dress up. Like Friday night, if you're an adult with type 1 or a significant other, we have a party for adults in type 1. It's open bar, there's food, it's a lot of fun. There's DJ, there's karaoke. Dress cute. And resort casual. That's what I tell everybody. Resort casual. So button down, like short sleeve shirt for Matt with like, like dinosaurs on it and like some shorts and my Birkenstocks and my wristband and lanyard because we're in the conference space. So no reason to bring anything dressy. There's a teen social on Saturday night. I would say it's also resort casual. We used to do a teen dance back in the day and the kids would get dressed up, but we got feedback that the kids don't want to dress up. So whatever is appropriate for them to wear, around the resort is appropriate for them to wear to the teen social. Somebody said, is there some sort of eye exam this year to sign up for in advance? In the past, we used to offer retinal screenings. Dr. Ben, who used to run our retinal screening program, retired, and we are no longer offering that program. Where do you store insulin? We talked about not putting it in your hotel room fridge, but oftentimes people will bring like the Frio packs that you can buy off Amazon or like there's a lot of like travel things that you can use to store and keep insulin when you're traveling. There will be many of them in the exhibit hall. So go to the exhibit hall grand opening on Wednesday night, and you will have table after table of things like that that you can check out to store insulin. But a lot of people will use like those Frio cold packs that are like made for traveling with insulin vials.
Yeah, and
Uh,
just chime in there as I don't know, the nurse on the call. I usually just leave mine at room temperature in the room. I think typically you don't really need to keep everything in the fridge unless you're waiting to use it for a while. So I think whatever you bring, you should be able to leave in the room. And honestly, it's pretty cold in the rooms, so you should be all right.
Jen, my 13-year-old son is a sibling of a type 1. He's worried about the fun. He's gonna be bored because he doesn't have diabetes. Why has he got to go to a diabetes conference? What's
No,
he gonna
we
do?
will we will make sure he has fun. No, but that's a great question. All of the programming that happens with the youth program is built very specifically with children with diabetes in mind and children who love someone with diabetes as well. There are some sessions within each age group where those groups actually split out and have some of their own programming, but largely it is planned very specifically with both groups in mind. So, for example, we might be playing Diabetes Jeopardy, but there are questions that relate to just general health, and there are the questions will never be posed so that someone with diabetes is the only one that can answer them. The teams do think very strategically about how to be inclusive of everyone at the conference, largely because most of our leadership teams are built of people with diabetes and people who love someone with diabetes as well. So we're getting a lot of perspective as we work towards those programs. You'll also see things like Sports Central on the schedule. There will be an opportunity about talking before those sessions about how to stay healthy in those sessions. That might involve diabetes tips, but it also might just involve healthy living tips as well. So we hear you, and our goal is that every person has fun regardless of the bracelet they wear when they attend.
Thank you. Saturday. Can you describe what Saturday's schedule a bit more? I noticed there's a gap in the middle of the day. So on Saturday morning, there's a big event hosted by Tandem, one of our sponsors. I forget what it's called. Do What Moves You? Was that? No, that was the old name. Uh,
Something about a dream. I'd have to look
Something
that.
about a drink. So there's a tandem event Saturday morning, and then there's a break from like noon to 7 p.m. And then we have a family party on Saturday night, open to anybody. And then we have our teen social on Saturday night. Both of the Saturday night activities are sponsored by our friends at Medtronic Diabetes. Saturday is open because a lot of people are exhausted. You are on the whole week. We run from like 8 in the morning till 11 o'clock at night. You will be out and about with all these people. And on Saturday, people might go to the theme parks. A lot of people will go to the pool. I always say be very cautious, very, very cautious about buying theme park tickets for Saturday because your child is going to meet their person. And on Saturday, you're going to spend hundreds of dollars to go to Magic Kingdom, and your child is going to complain to go back to the hotel to swim in the hotel pool with their new best friend for life. So please be mindful of that. I hear it every year. A parent will come to me and say, Matt, is there a way that Disney will refund me for these Magic Kingdom tickets? Because my child wanted to go play in the parking lot, tag in the pool with their new friends for life. And I'll say, I don't know, talk to the mouse about that. So just be mindful. Saturday is a day, just like hang out by the pool. People will be all over the resort doing all kinds of stuff. And we have social events that day. And then on Sunday morning, we have our farewell breakfast. A lot of people ask, they're like, do I need to go to the parks? Well, we're at Disney. I would say less than half, actually know that for a fact, less than half of our attendees even go to a park. Disney tells me these things. The reason I wanted to point that out is because for some people, they're not into Disney at all, or not into Universal, or they don't want to do the theme parks, or they want to do something, but they don't know what that is. We bring some of the Disney magic to Friends for Life. So during our banquet on Thursday night, we do character meet and greets. So I signed that contract today, actually. So we will have character meet and greets that night. And on Sunday morning in our farewell breakfast, we always have characters there as well. So don't feel like, oh, I'm taking my kid to Disney for this thing. Like we have to go see Mickey Mouse. You will see Mickey Mouse on Sunday morning. So just be mindful of that. All right. Lee, I'm going to ask you this one. I know every family member will be doing their own thing, different sessions. What's the plan for meeting up during breaks, lunch, etc.? Are things nearby? For reference, I have a 10-year-old who doesn't have diabetes and a 15-year-old with diabetes.
So this was sort of one of my biggest fears, especially whenever my kids got out of elementary and they moved into tweens. So we have survived elementary, we have survived tweens, we are now in the middle of teens. So sort of speaking to you from a been there, done that mom experience. The best thing that I can tell you to do is once you get your wristbands and once you sort of learn the setup of the conference space that we have, is find a meeting spot. So whether that's a bathroom, whether that's a chair, whether that's a doorway, the best thing that you can do is to be able to say, when we're on our breaks, I want you to be able to meet me here and check in with me here. And so that's what I do with my kids. One of the other things is all of the, especially whenever we open up for lunch and for meals, all of sort of the big Coronado ballrooms look exactly the same. And there will be like 2,000 people that will be in the hallway eating our delicious carb counted meals and getting ready to be able to go in to be able to find their table. So another recommendation that I would do if you want to eat lunch with your kids or if you want to eat breakfast with your kids is to sort of go in, scope out the space and say at all of the meals, this is where we are going to be. You know, as your parents, as your caregivers, we are always going to sit at this table. You need to check in with us. You can go sit with your friends. You can go eat lunch with wherever wherever you want to be able to eat lunch. But in terms of finding a meeting spot in the hallway and a meeting spot sort of in the places where we all eat our common meals together, I think that's really important. Another thing, especially if you have littles, is to know that there will be people in the hallway, like Matt talked about before, and Marissa talked about before, that have on black polos. And so know that those people are part of our support team. They are really there to be the eyes and ears sort of the hallways to be able to sort of keep safety in mind. So if for some reason your child gets lost and they don't know where to find you, or you have lost your child, go find someone that is wearing one of the black polos and they will be able to help you sort of relocate and reconnect. But again, begin that search sort of at the very beginning. Once you get your packet, once you get your t-shirt, once you get your lanyard, sort of look around and find a space that makes sense to you all. And then be able to have that as your common meeting space.
Can I just jump on to add one other piece to Lee's comment? And this might actually also answer Caitlin's question. All of our children who are 8 years and older, younger, so our Kitty Cove and our elementary, they will never be released from their childcare space without you. So without their adult. They cannot be released to a younger sibling. They cannot be released to uncle who's come along. They've got to be released to the person that is dropping them off at their session. So on top of that, they also need an adult to drop them off at their session. Once children move into our tween group and our teen group, when their session ends, they are allowed to leave. That might sound scary, but I think just to put things into context, we are all in like one hallway. And often you will be waiting. If you choose to, you can be waiting outside that door when the door is open and that tween programs finishes. None of the youth programs will finish before their allotted time, so they'll end at 10 and 12, 2:30 and 4:30. So if you wanted to sneak out of your session 1 minute early to pop next door to be waiting, you can be waiting. But that's where for those tweens and those teens, those meeting points are extra important. Kitty Cove and elementary, please be there on time to pick your kids up, because that also allows our volunteers to have a bit of a break.
Couple more questions. What characters will be there? Go to the events and you'll find out. Mickey will be at the farewell breakfast. He always is, though, but there's lots of other surprises. Um, Can you explain what Family Fun Night is on Saturday, and also maybe about the posters event, please? Sure. So we do have a lot of, in addition to this sessions throughout the day, we have tons of social events. So we talked a little bit about the banquet and how we're all going to be dressed in our fun dino outfits, like the dino onesie, things like that. Wednesday nights, our grand opening of our exhibit hall, sponsored by our friends at Walgreens. There's all kinds of snacks and chocolate-covered strawberries and exhibit hall fun. A Friday night, we have our family movie night, sponsored by our friends at Dexcom. And then we have our dessert and posters with the faculty, sponsored by our friends at Beximi. Dessert and posters is a really great way to meet faculty and the fellows and the people who are presenting at the conference. And some of the sponsors, they're going to have research posters and research posters on projects they're working on or things maybe they're researching to like submit to the FDA, that you can go up and have one-on-one conversations with these people that you've heard speaking all week. So it's a really great opportunity to have like a deep dive, like sciencey conversation with people. And then also on Friday night is our adults with type 1 and their significant others party. So that's like the karaoke and drinks and all kinds of stuff. Saturday, we have our tandem event in the morning. And then Saturday night, family party and teen social. The family party is exactly what it sounds like. There's food and snacks and games and like arcade games and like skill games and air hockey and a DJ. And then we do like a hula hoop competition. And it's just like loud and fun and a way for you to like hang out and socialize. And you can just sit there and watch your kid run around with their friends. And then you can just like sit and have a glass of wine with your little mom friends that you met throughout the week. And then Sunday morning, we have our farewell breakfast. In addition to that, we have a big meetup schedule. So anything you could think of, from like I'm a single parent to I'm a member of the LGBTQ plus community to I have a pug and I like to walk to Starbucks every day. Like there's going to be a meetup for you. The meetup schedule will be out. In addition, you could also create your own meetups your way. There's whiteboard outside of registration where you can like do your own meetup. So you're like, I'm looking for people from Beckley, West Virginia. And we're going to have a Beckley, West Virginia meetup group. And people can sign up. Me and Lee, West Virginia, we're going to have our little West Virginia meetup. So that's how the social events work. Marissa and Jen, my 6-year-old who is type 1 doesn't carry his own supplies. Normally, I usually carry them for him on my back. I carry my husband's supplies for him. He's 6 too. Will he need his own little bag when he goes with things away from me?
Yeah, I mean, so I usually say I would recommend having at least the kiddos receiver if they have one. You could put like an infusion set in there in case it comes out. You could put a lancing device and a meter especially if you're not on a continuous glucose monitor, but most of the kiddos are on CGM. Otherwise, we have glucose tablets in the room. Our nurses are going to have glucagon just in case. We have water. We do have meters. And so we are able to do a lot of things. And typically with the younger kids, we don't do any dosing. We'll reach out to you if they're beeping and alarming that they're high, and we'll make sure that we check in with you before we do anything like that. For lows, we'll typically treat, there. And if they're littles, we won't do the 15 grams because that would be way too much. So Jen, do you have anything to add?
Nope. That was great. Maybe just you'll also get some information tomorrow in the parent letters. But to say it to the folks that are on here now, if you do send your child with a bag with their supplies, just making sure that there's a little card inside with your name, their name, your phone number, and email, just in case. Often we see that it's like the same bag that got dropped off with supplies for half of the children in the room with diabetes. Yeah, but nothing else to add. There's lots of people who other than their CGM receiver drop nothing because the healthcare providers in the space have everything else that would be needed for that 1 hour time slot that we have your children.
Just keep in mind, we only have them for 1 hour at a time. But that said, label everything that you send. So if you send something with your kid, you would be surprised how many little black Lululemon belt bags can show up in one room with 150 teenage girls. So, make sure that you put a little masking tape on the back and it says Lee Fickling on it.
Yeah, and like PDMs for Omnipod. If you
masking tape, write your name on the back and your phone number. If something gets lost, it gets brought to registration. We will have it there. We run a very large lost and found throughout the week. One thing that just got brought up that we haven't talked about yet, too much yet, is food. So if you are bringing low supplies with you, or if your child is like, I only eat the red gummy bears when I'm low because only the red ones bring me up. That's fine. However, our event is an entirely nut-free event minus staff. So like we are nutty, but no foods that are nutty. And we don't allow any food products with nuts in the convention center. So just because you treat with Reese's Cups at home, you can't treat in the convention center with Reese's Cups. at Friends for Life. You can do that in your hotel room, no nut products in the convention center. Additionally, we talked a little bit about the wristband. So people who eat gluten-free will have a yellow wristband on because we have a separate dedicated gluten-free buffet at every meal program. So there'll be special stanchioned off lines and it says this is for gluten-free buffet only, must have yellow wristband. If you are a parent who is there with a yellow wristband gluten-free child and you're not gluten-free, what we're going to do is we're going to also give you a yellow gluten-free wristband so that you can take your child through the gluten-free buffet, or you can go through and make their plate. However, we're going to ask that you make their plate first so that you go through the non-gluten-free before you go through the gluttonous buffet. The glutinous buffet, I don't know, gluten including buffet. So, but just keep that in mind. So we're nut-free and we have separate gluten-free buffets. And if you indicated that you have a food allergy or restriction, like you're like deathly allergic to soy and you need an EpiPen for your soy allergy, and you indicated that on your registration, chefs will be available to discuss with you. They'll be in their little white chef outfits, or you can speak to somebody in green who's a member of our food and beverage team, or Ashlyn and I, and we will point you in the right direction. But the chefs will be out and about, and they will be able to tell you about anything, because if you listed it in your registration that you have a food allergy, Disney will actually have your name or have your allergy on a list, so they'll be prepared and know somebody like, I have somebody come in and she's allergic to soy, so that I need to know everything that is going to be soy free on this buffet. Do we still provide carb counts? Yes, Brenda, we do. So when you, that's another big feature of Friends for Life is when you come to our program, we try to make it easy as possible for you. So there's going to be QR codes around all the buffets, as well as in the conference app, which is coming out very soon, where you can click and you can look at every meal. You can see what's being served and you can see the portion size and the carb counts for those portions. We work for months. Our dietitian, Kristen, and her team work for months going through every single recipe. She carries a food scale around and she weighs items on the buffet as it's getting rolled out, and she updates on an iPad after tasting everything. Like, we take a lot of pride and work into carb counting these foods for you. So they will be on the QR codes, they'll be in the app so that you can, if your child's going to experiment with pre-bolusing while at Friends for Life because they found somebody else who decides they also want to pre-bolus because they're around other people with diabetes, trying new things, we will have the carb counts out for you about 30 minutes before the official meal start times. Will Taylor Swift get together be in the book or whiteboard? Oh, it's in the book. It's official. It's in the print schedule. So you will see the official Swiftie meetup. I'm not one.
I feel like I should have answered that. I mean, seriously, of all.
It's Lee is the host. So
Well, Lee and Sasha, the smiley face on the screen, it is definitely on there. I will tell you right now, Katie, I think that was you that said that. It is on Friday. We tried to find a time that would be convenient for the little Swifties, big Swifties like us. So it's going to be on Friday before we have a family movie night. So but we'll be trading bracelets all week. So bring your bracelets. And then plan on the Swiftie meetup. We're going to meet over in the Barcelona lounge area over at the bottom floor of the tower for the Swiftie meetup. But I mean, Taylor Swift all weekend.
All week. And I had so many bracelets last year that they would like go up my arm. So you've met me on the internet now. And if you want to make me a special bracelet, I had several last year that they were made for me. I have them all in my office. All my special bracelets from last year. I'm accepting special bracelets. I like hugs. Iced coffee. So if these inspire you to make me a special bracelet, I welcome it. Lee and Sasha are hosting the Taylor Swift meetup. My child is a bit anxious about being away from me and surrounded by people he doesn't know. Is it okay to come check in with me during a session? Is that okay? We already talked about this a little bit. So if they're in Kitty Cove or the elementary program, no, because they have to be picked up and dropped off by you, the parent. However, if there's something going on, we will contact you to come down there. As far as the tweens and teens, I'm going to let Jen talk about that because we discussed it a little bit, but.
Yeah, and maybe I'll just say that we also hear you on this, and we get that and plan the program very specifically. So the flow of the program will recognize that the majority of the youth in the program are meeting for the very first time on the very first day. So the entire first hour is spent with small group icebreakers and get to know yous and looking to hook participants up with others so that they have people around them that they look forward to seeing at the next session. And we always we always hear this question, and we haven't been proven wrong yet that by the end of the conference, you'll be feeling the absolute opposite, where your kids will be running from you to get to their session, and won't want to leave at the end. And that really is our goal. I'll just also mention, because I think we maybe typed this answer, but if your child is in Kitty Cove Elementary, they also have a meet and greet opportunity on Tuesday afternoon, where their rooms will be open, their leaders will be there. You can come down and show them the space they're going to be in. They can run around and get to know it a little bit more. You can ask any questions to the leaders or the healthcare providers that you might have, just to ease the next morning, make it flow a little bit smoother. Otherwise, on Wednesday morning, if you're still feeling nervous, you can pop down 15 minutes before the start of the session, so at 8:45, and the leaders and volunteers will be there and ready to welcome you and help calm any of those nerves.
Can I say
Sure.
one thing about that also? One of the things that sort of I've tried to use this as my approach is just try it for one more session. So, if you have somebody, whether that's your person, that's your green band or your orange band, as a parent, I think the best sort of advice that we can give them is to say, let's just go back for one more time. And, if you don't like it after that one time, then we'll talk about it at the break, or we'll talk about it at lunch, or we'll talk about it at the next break. Because our breaks, sometimes have snacks, they sometimes have ice cream, they sometimes, have ways for you to be able to go and spend time in the exhibit hall together as a family. And so I think the best thing that we can do is sort of encourage them to re-engage with the groups. I will also tell you that there have been multiple years, whether that's been a regional or whether that's been at Friends for Life Orlando, that my son, who is the orange band, who does not have diabetes, he is the one who is the first at the door to be able to go in to join up with his friends. He is the last one to leave. Like, the volunteers are like, dude, we need a break. You need to go find your parents. You need to get out of this room. But he wants to be there for every single session. And so, I think that sort of being in this environment of diabetes and being in this safe space, it almost gives the non-child with diabetes sort of like this lust for having diabetes. Like, they'll put on like a demo pod, or they'll put on, some sort of version of some sort of demo diabetes. And they're like, why can't I have it? Because it's so amazing for this time that we all have together. So again, sort of my best tip that I could give you sort of as the chief mom is just to encourage them, go back for one more session, and then let's review once that's over with. Because hopefully they're going to be able to make that connection, even if it's just one friend, or even if it's just one volunteer that they're close with, that they're going to want to be able to continue on throughout the rest of the week.
Perfect. So we got a couple of quick questions I'm going to rip through. One was, if I've had a food or a change in my diet since I registered, should I notify? Yes. Email us at conference@childrenwithdiabetes.com, and we can update your registration to include your dietary restriction if you didn't include it. Do we know if there are any Canadians attending? Yes. Jen Hansen as our resident staff Canadian. But we also have people registered from, I think it's 9 countries now. So that's exciting. 46 states and 9 countries currently, the last time I looked. On the topic of food, do the kids have snacks in their rooms? And if so, can my daughter dose herself? She's learning more independence. Jen, I'm going to let you talk about this one.
So if your child has a favorite snack that they use for their lows, please send that along. No problem. Just make sure it's in the labeled bag. And we would just ask that she checks in with the healthcare providers to let them know what's going on. But it would be great if she came up and said, I'm starting to feel low, so I'm having 10 carbs. And that's perfect. And that way they just know that they probably are like, wow, awesome job, girl. And they'll keep an eye on her, but know that she's working on that. You can also mention that on the first day, that that's something that you're trying to work on with your child, and the healthcare provider will support that.
Thank you. One thing that didn't come up yet is that we do have a group at Friends for Life called the Smiley Squad. They make up a lot of different jobs at Friends for Life. So like the first timers welcome area and the first timers activities are ran by the Smiley Squad. Registration, where you get your lanyard to wristband and you can pick up all your stuff from the Lost and Found, is ran by the Smiley Squad. The CWD swag table, where you can get like your CWD merch, is ran by the Smiley Squad. The Journey Awards are picked up by the Smiley Squad.
Room
Additionally, we
monitors.
also have the room monitors are also in the Smiley Squad. We also, CWD participates in the Sunflower Initiative. So if you know people, if you know what that is, CWD is also a participant. There will be signage up in the registration area. about that program.
But diabetes does not count at Friends for Life.
The diabetes does not count at Friends for Life. Sorry, I'm like ripping through like 1,000 messages. Steven said, can you tell us a little about the Fellows Program? I can do that because we're gonna make it quick. The Fellows Program is fun. It's made up of people like you, HCPs, who get to meet with the sponsors throughout the week. And then you're going to go to sessions on Thursday and Friday and experience diabetes in the wild, because what we learned several years ago is that people working in diabetes don't understand sometimes what diabetes is like in the real world. They see diabetes in the clinic, and our goal is for you to see what diabetes looks like when 14-year-olds are playing in the pool, when it's 98 degrees and 100% humidity at Disney, and then like pound 3 Mickey bars and then like our sugar high run up and down the hallways. So real diabetes in the Disney Wild during Friends for Life. But Marissa is actually your point of contact and runs the Fellows Program. So if you have any specific questions, I would reach out to her directly. And I'm trying to see if we have anything else. We're coming. Can you? Oh yes. What if somebody in my family or a travel party has a disability other than diabetes? Lee.
Yes, thank you. So Matt just talked about the sunflower team that we have that's going to be on site. So if you're familiar with the Hidden Disability Sunflower Initiative, you may see those at sporting venues. You may see those at the airport. People typically have on lanyards that have sunflowers. Those are indicative most of the time of people that have hidden disabilities, invisible disabilities, a lot of times people that have neurodiversity. So when we're thinking about our participants that may have ADHD, autism, other forms of neurodiversity as well, the best thing that I could do in terms of giving you advice right now in our last 2.5 weeks or so before we get ready to go to Orlando, if your child has an IEP or if your child has a 504 plan for something other than the diabetes, please reach out to your program group leaders or reach out to accommodations@childrenwithdiabetes.com. So we can sort of start to talk about the best ways to explore accommodations for your child at Friends for Life. We want to make sure that this is the best experience for you and your family and for your child who may meet that qualification as having a disability under the ADA. We are completely prepared to be able to explore accommodations just like you would with your K through 12 school system or your college environment as well. But the best thing that you can do is reach out to us in advance so that way we can sort of help you through understanding more about the programming that we have, the different types of accommodations that we can offer during our youth programs, what may be appropriate and what might not be appropriate. It's always better if we can do that in advance rather than waiting until you sort of arrive on the spot to be able to ask for an accommodation, and it may be something that we might not be able to accommodate. The last thing that I will say about that is we are not equipped at Children with Diabetes and at Friends for Life to be able to offer sort of a one-on-one assistant. So if that is something that your child has had in the K through 12 school system, that's typically not something that we're able to offer here at Friends for Life, but we are absolutely 100% ready to be able to explore accommodations with you and try to be able to make this the best week for everybody, all of the participants that are in all the youth programs and for you as the parents, so that way you can go to your sessions as well. Thanks, Matt.
I think that's it. So I'm going to talk for like 90 seconds to see if anybody else has any last burning questions, but I just dropped some emails into the chat. So if you do have any questions, or even if you're like, should I tell somebody about this? Email accommodations@childrenwithdiabetes.com. If you have a question that you did not ask tonight, or like 30 seconds after we hang this up and you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot to ask about my avocado allergy, email conference@childrenwithdiabetes.com and we will be sure to help you out. One thing that we didn't talk about was we got a question about airport transfers. So is right on the Friends for Life website, the link to the Mears buses. They run 24 hours a day between MCO, Orlando International Airport, and the Coronado Springs Resort. There are other services, but please know that the Mears Connect is the only one that is 24 hours. So if your plane gets in late for some reason, you might have to find alternative transportation if you book using another service. And it's also, if you have any questions, we do have a very lengthy FAQ on the Friends for Life website. So you can visit ffl.is/Orlando. And about a third of the way down the page, it'll say have questions, check out our FAQ. And if you're not in the Facebook group, please join it, because usually people will post questions in there and answer them before any staff can see the email, because we get so many emails this time of year. But and it's a great way to meet new people before you get there, plan your outfits, all your dino onesies, and fun things like that. Somebody asked about next year's theme. You'll find out at the banquet. It'll be fun. All right, I think that's it. Well, I'm going to say thank you all to everyone for joining us tonight. This is going to be our last webinar before the next time we see you, it's going to be in person in the hallway in Orlando. Come up when you see us, the people here on the call, feel free to come up and say hello, introduce yourselves. We are so excited to meet you. Email conference@childrenwithdiabetes.com if you have any questions, and keep an eye out on your email. We'll be sending you a lot more information very soon. That's it. Bye. Safe travel. See you soon.